Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're going to do the stream a little differently today. Um, yeah, we'll let a couple people filter in, but um, I feel like doing the full intense study session every day is probably a bit much. So today I decided to do something slightly different, where we're basically just going to do a bunch of these things where we play against the solver, the sort of ZenMadman versus machine. I also want to record a tutorial for how to do that. I might try to do that now, but I might do that immediately afterwards. And then I'm basically going to chop these up and upload them to YouTube and just have a whole bunch of videos good to go, right? Like kind of for the week or something. And then starting Monday, we will get back into examining 3-bet pots. First with button versus small blind, and then small blind versus big blind, and then we'll go back and look at low jack versus cutoff, low jack versus button, low jack small, big, all this. There's really so many spots, and I'm not sure whether the smartest course of action, whether the more efficient approach is to take each of these spots and look at them individually, or to take things like low jack versus high jack, cutoff, and button, and kind of compare them overall and say, okay, how much difference is there between these different spots, and can we basically take one of the spots and use it as a sort of generalization for the others, and maybe understand where there's some subtle differences, like, oh, the button should have these hands in range, or it doesn't have this hand in range, and that's the difference. But overall, kind of getting the gist of kind of maybe consolidating, right? Simplifying some. Good morning, BuffyBot. Welcome. Today we're going to do something a little different. I was just saying we're going to, instead of looking at one spot, we are going to look at a number of different spots. In fact, maybe we'll do a little bit more of a review type thing, where we will go back and look at. Oh, bang! Welcome. What's up, Ian? Yeah, so we're gonna look more at kind of what we've studied so far, and try to make sure that we're reinforcing that as opposed to just constantly pushing ahead. And then I think tomorrow we'll get back to studying like button versus small blind. So I'm gonna have a little sip of my beverage, and maybe let's warm up with this new. I've got a new thing, so let's go to, where was it? Is this? No. Oh dear. What was it in? My OBS is a mess. I will figure it out. Plans change, so I'm happy to be here. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. We're gonna do something a little different this time. Is this right? So this is the normal layout, right? We're going to go to the trainer, and do this, and I'll and we'll just do the overall for like 50 hands or so. So we hit start training, and this is the layout we had, but now I am going to go away, and this is the new layout. So let me know if you like this layout compared to the other one. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to call this anything. This isn't going to be any particular video. This is just going to be like a warm-up. We're just going to have it a warm-up. Love it. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I might add a few little things along the sides, but for the most part, I think this will be just nice and clean and simple. And so if anybody happens to be watching on a phone, let me know if this is, I would think this would be a significant improvement. Against this bet size, I don't think I have a whole lot of raises. This might be one of them, though. It's pretty reasonable. I'm a 7 or an 8 will give us an open ender or a double gutter. A heart will give us a nice card to barrel on. I'm gonna hit call, but I do think that raise is reasonable. Yeah, and solver agrees. We don't have a lot of raises here on this board, right? But this is one of them. This is one of the most raised hands, it looks like. I think check or bet both seem fine. Yeah, I probably should have just gone for the raise because like there's tons of 6x that is probably a check call, but oh, I'm on my phone and now I can see it. Excellent. Yeah, yeah, that was the idea, you know. So okay, no leading on this card. That was the idea that like you know, I mean, not everything's gonna be what do I do on this card? Not everything's gonna always be optimized for I don't know. I guess I can either like bet or not. I don't know. Yeah. Now do you call when somebody bets? Yeah. What a weird hand. This is a pretty funny run out. Um but yeah, I mean, I'm not always going to do things that are ideal for phone, but I do think making some that's going to work well on a phone, and I think those will make really good YouTube videos for people watching on mobile. So that's the idea. We're just gonna play through some hands here and try and play watching on phone, and it is better. Excellent, thank you, BuffyBot. All right, a lot of mobile users, so that is very good to know. I'm using my right hand. I put out this Twitter survey that was like, you know, if you're a left-handed mouser, do you use the buttons the same as a right-handed mouse, or do you flip them? And everyone's like, no, I'm right-handed. I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know any lefties on Twitter. Oh, hello, Robin Hooded. How are you? Have do yeah, we can go for a 3-bet here, right? 3-bet or fold. It's a mix. Okay. And we'll fold this. Yeah, this thing where we get all the different spots. I think this is probably better to be used just as a session warm up. And oh, you voted I'm righty, freak. Excellent, excellent. To I was like, I think I need to include this option. Um, I don't know if you've seen whatever video where I was talking about this, but I mean I know you've seen a lot of them, but this was a while back where yeah, like I'm not really exactly ambidextrous per se, but I'm also not right-handed per se. Like throughout my life, I've done certain things predominantly right-handed, but I've always had some things that were more comfortable left-handed. Like I open a jar lefty and I close it righty. And I always felt opening doors lefty was more comfortable. And I think that was because why is this thing? Um, that was because like the door I grew up on, the lock was on the left next to a wall, so that just became a natural habit. Whereas like you know, writing I learned to do right-handed originally, but yeah, then I got this pinched nerve last fall, and it lasted for like I don't know, almost 6 months, to where like using my right hand really it would all just cramp up and it just wasn't working well. So I just went to mousing lefty pure, and that's mostly now I'm mixing in a little righty again. I think I can probably use this for like kind of any sizings. I think it's probably kind of fine. Yeah, solver agrees. Um, but so yeah, I mean, I actually taught myself to mouse lefty. I'm trying to remember where I think I broke my left thumb, and I guess I wasn't doing things specifically lefty then. But at some point, I like when I first started using a mouse, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make sure that I know how to use this lefty as well. And so I just played like Minesweeper and Solitaire lefty until it just became very comfortable. And you know, my left isn't as quick as my right, but I mean, I can maintain a 1700 bullet chess rating on Lee Chess, so can't be that slow, right? Like, I would maybe only be like 1800 with the right or something. Right hand, but can carry stuff with my left hand. Okay, that's good. It's an important skill to be able to carry stuff with both hands. imagine it would be fairly difficult. I do think that a fair amount. I mean, apparently, handedness is, it's cognitive, right? And um, like your brain kind of is like, let's use this hand most of the time, or vice versa. But I also think a good amount of it is just skill building. Like whatever your offhand is, it could be better, right? I mean, whatever your good hand is, it could be more coordinated too if you spend time, drilling and stuff. So I think as a guitar player, I always thought it was funny that, and I think we just fold this. I always thought it was funny that people talked about playing like right-handed guitar, but the left hand felt like it was doing most of the work. Like it's doing all the fine finger manipulation, and the right hand's keeping the rhythm, basically. So I always thought learning to play lefty wouldn't be that hard. And actually, there's a chapter in my book where I talk about when I was in LA playing music, and we scanned in some images. All right, so this was a 3-bet. It was a partial, right? Almost pure, almost pure. On this board, I imagine we're betting very frequently. This might be one of the hands we could check, but we are going to pick up some good barrel cards. I'm going to go half pot. I don't really know what sizings we're supposed to use here yet. We haven't done these things. All right, that was fine. And yeah, this is mostly a fold, but I am going to throw the raise in there just to like get some post flop spots. But yeah, we saw a one of the pictures scanned in and it was backwards for whatever reason, and it was like, oh, it would look so cool if one of us was lefty. I was like, I bet I could learn to play guitar lefty like in, I don't know, in 2 weeks. They're like, no, you can't. So we made a prop bet, and I bet that I could learn to play guitar lefty well enough to at least play a song at a show. I'm gonna flat this. It's mixing, right? Flatting and 3-betting. And I did, and I the guitar somewhere here that I won in that prop bet. In this squeezing spot, I think we're gonna call some. This is dicey, like when you're actually playing, because you don't quite have odds to set mine, so you really do have to play this well post flop and make sure you're getting some value when you don't get a set. But I imagine this is mixing call and fold, maybe with an occasional back raise, but like not much. I'm gonna say it probably folds like between 40 and 60%. I bet it's pretty even. Yeah, so it folds 40%, no back raising. That's a bit much. So on a board like this, I think, oh, it actually gives us the post flop. Interesting. Huh. But this spot I don't think is in the library. Very curious. I imagine we can continue here with our gut shot and a double blocker to the straight and pair. Not sure though. Yeah, continue. Very, very neutral EV spot. And then against this bet size, maybe now we fold. 7 paired, that's not great. Again, a very EV neutral spot. They had 4-5. Wow, that takes heart. Look at that. They had 4-5. They squeezed pre, and then they bet on the flop, and then they barrel the turn. They're supposed to just pure barrel the turn. I wouldn't necessarily expect that, but I guess that unblocks our folding range, right? It's not like we're going to have a bunch of pocket fours, pocket fives that peel the flop, and ace, king, queen, ace 9 suited, ace 8 suited, I guess. I don't know. I think those are the types of hands, pocket 8s, pocket 9s. Those are the types of hands that are going to be folding here. They don't have any spades. I don't think we're going to be able to call with spades in this spot either. I'm trying to riffle chips with my left hand, but it's a trying task. I hear that. Yeah, I definitely have both hands going with that one. And then the like flipping and the hand. I don't know. Chip riffling is it's something that it's so hard for me to not do when I play live. It's just this like unconscious thing. I did it so long, and when I try and stop, because when I play like 8-10 hours or whatever, my wrist starts to hurt from doing that so much. And so I'm like, okay, don't do it. And I'm like, okay, we're just gonna sit here. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing it. Like, I'm not even trying to do it. I'm not even thinking about it. And it's just like, it's just going. It's ridiculous. I don't know. It's very, there's just this unconscious, like, kind of just like sort of compulsion. It's weird. One might call it a habit, um, but none of that. Like a pun, nuns and habits, and okay. Monotone boards check a ton. Queens without a diamond seemed like a decent hand to kind of deny some equity, but probably mostly checking, almost pure check. An unconscious habit, exactly. I kind of feel like now we can start betting. Probably not big though. No, not yet, not yet. Too ambitious. But look at that. The check is worth 3.19 and the bet 2 is worth 3.18. So I'm not too broken up about this one. I think that's an okay mistake to be making, and I think against humans, I'm sure. But an error nonetheless. The first one of this session, there's going to be a fold. Base 8, I think, minus 6 cents. Against 2.25 pots, I believe we can play it. But against 2.5, not pot, 2.25 blinds, I think we can play it. Against 2.5 blinds, not so much. But yeah, do you find it's just kind of compelling? Like you just do it and you're like, oh, I'm doing that. So before I could type it, I'm the slowest typer on earth. Yeah, typing's a funny thing where like yeah, when I couldn't use my right hand much, it was very frustrating because I'm actually a very fast typist, and it was like I can't type. It was very frustrating. All right, Queen Jack suited. We've got. Yeah, we're not gonna play this. I mean, maybe occasionally, but if we have a flat range, this would be probably actually still not very good. Look at how dominated they dominate them. They dominate us. It's a circle of domination. I started using voice to text when my hand was bothering me, and it just comes up with some hilarious mistakes. All right, so posture check, and yep, okay. I actually might get rid of the alarms and add some channel points. Let's make some notes today about things to do. Channel points, posture, vision, etc. Right. So, I mean, in general, like channel points are supposed to be for the for the audience to like have fun with, but I'm just going to use them to encourage people to remind me to do things I want to do. So, whatever. Yeah, we'll say emotes too. I want to make some new emotes. Those will be fun. I think they upgraded it to where like you get 5 even when you don't have that many subs, and then you get like an animated one. So like, yeah, let's have some fun with that. I was did a lot of playing yesterday. It's a weekend. Games are good. BTT isn't very understanding. Oh, voice to text. Yes. Right. I mean, sometimes it's just. Yeah, I've got some good ones, but some of them are not for mass consumption. But I decided to just stop correcting them for certain people, and I'm just like, yeah, we're just gonna send that, and you're gonna figure out what it means. It's like a game. It's a game I play with some of my like, sort of poker study group people. Like, yeah, you can figure out the action from that. The same way we have a like, guess their hands game where somebody shows up with something absolutely ridiculous and you're like, guess what they had? And you're like, Jack 2 suited, and they're like, pocket aces. You're like, how did they have pocket aces? They should never have pocket aces here, but they had pocket aces. There's kind of different categories. There's like someone has a hand that's so strong that you're like, how did they not put in more action with this beforehand? And then there's hands where you're like, how do they even get to this spot with this hand? And it's funnier when it's not like just somebody who plays all their hands. Like, yeah, whatever, they can always turn up with anything. When it's like somebody who just they show up with like who like otherwise plays fairly normally, and then you see them show up with something in a spot, and you're like, you have this hand, you have this hand, not like someone else, like you have this hand. What is going on here? Um, so far, I mean, here's the thing, like playing pretty well in terms of how the solver sees it. It's nice. It's kind of reaffirming that like this works, right? That you can study stuff and then learn it, and that most decisions in the course of a game, in terms of like finding the balanced play and playing according to game theory, like isn't necessarily that hard. Now we might catch a hard one here, button versus blind. I don't think that's a very hard one. This is a board that I can consider having some donks on. I did yesterday. I integrated some of this stuff. I had ace-7 offsuit, same scenario, button raises, I call on the big blind, and the flop comes 6-4-3 rainbow, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just bet out, and they called, and then the turn was a 7. I was like, I think I get to value bet here now, and I bet, and they folded the turn, but after the session, I opened up GTO base, and I ran the hand, I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, you're supposed to do this, ace-7, this was a good combo to do it with, and it was nice. It was like, I don't think many people are taking that line, and now I've studied that line, and the thing is, like, when we have those situations where there's like two ways, there's like two plays you can make, and both of them are fine, right? Like, just having a pure check strategy on the flop is probably fine. I don't think you lose that much value. And then they're probably not supposed to see bet as much. That's fine. But if it's the same EV or greater, to have a leading strategy, to have a donking strategy where you bet out into the pre-flop raiser, and they don't see that much, they haven't trained against that much, it's I think there's value there, right? In just taking someone out of their comfort zone and having them be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, and not necessarily knowing how to handle it. So I think that's it's nice to develop those. Now on a board like this, I think I would rather have some straight blocker. It's nice to have this backdoor flush draw. I mean, a hand like King Jack is probably too much to ask for, but maybe like Jack 3 of diamonds. I think I'm defending that, right? So I think that might make a decent dunk. I don't think there's a lot of donks on this board, though. I think it's usually 3 cards directly in a row. Let's see what happens. Yeah, no donks on this exact board. You have this hand. Is that like a pun with like a U and like a... All right, now on the other hand, I do think we get to bet some. Are we going to use small, mid, large? I don't think we have to go so big when the board's like a 4 straight. I'm going to go magenta. Ah, yeah, likes magenta. Green was my other choice, so we're doing well there. Now, do we want to barrel off with this? I think fairly often we want to barrel here, right? It would be nice to have a heart. We don't have a heart. If we do bet, I feel like we have to go kind of big, like pot, and I don't think we're getting straights to fold, but I think let's just pot it. Let's pot it. Let's see. Oh no, too much. Too much. It doesn't hate it. But yeah, we got them to fold 2 pair, right? We got the robot to fold 2 pair. So I'm going to call that a victory. I was going to tell a sodium joke, but nah. There's another one. Oh, what was that? There's something that's like... I heard a good one. I don't remember. It went with that. It was like paired with that. And it was also a chemistry joke. But I appreciate a good chemistry pun. We'll play a few more and then we'll get into some specific scenarios. And I'll remember to hit record. And if I don't, I think I have the 3 Musketeers here to help remind me. Let's have a sodium joke. We just did, that was a sodium joke, but not Na. Na is the chemical symbol for sodium. So that's where it kind of hurts. Oh, no. It was a chess joke. It was like, should I... Oh, I mean, they call it the sodium opening, like knight A3, right? You know, I don't know. Then there was, I don't know. I mean, you got C4 in chess. That's a move. When you said B4, I was thinking that sends me right to chess. You know, it's nice when you can say like, oh, you should have gone B4 before C4, or I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, there's another one that I don't know. Whatever. It's not going to come to me right now, but yeah. I feel like I was thinking about studying at some point I was thinking about like basically going through like all the Khan Academy material like on Twitch or something and just like doing a like study along like you know sort of like math speed run. But yeah, last night what was it? I was thinking of doing like maybe they have some economic stuff and doing some things along those lines. Okay, this type of board I think we do get to go big. Whether it's half or 3/4, I'm not sure. With the bottom set though, if we're mixing those sizings, I think bottom set's going to prefer the large bet because it's unblocking all the value range. And yeah, so overall you can see that the range uses both sizes, half and 3/4, but the pocket fours really enjoy the larger of those. Overall, the range prefers the larger, but and then here, I mean, can we just like pot it, or is that too much with bottom set? Maybe with a set because now there's a straight on board. We want to go a little smaller, but not like small. I'm thinking like 3/4. I don't think we're going to use overbets when the straight comes out. So let's go with this 3/4. Solver digs it. Pot is also reasonable, and they fold. All right, so that was 51 hands, I guess. 70 correct actions, 1 error. I'm gonna say that's pretty good. I don't know. I'm feeling very satisfied. So now let us go and we'll pick some individual spots and record. I think round 6 or no, I already have round 6. I just have to upload it. Round 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think very good. I think very good. Like nigh perfect, really. There's one error and it was for 2 cents. So, you know, I mean, if I always played that well, I I think I could play pretty much any games. But you know, having said that, there weren't that many difficult spots, right? This is including a whole bunch of pre-flop folding. So, I don't want to be too self-congratulatory. Let's go to okay, first I will switch scenes over to this one and we will go are there any particular spots that people would like to see that we've already studied? Right, I was thinking doing low jack versus big blind first, but if anybody has a preference aside from that, we can always start there. I'm going to low jack RFI versus big blind call. These are these heuristics that we had, right? So I'm gonna do just a little bit of kind of rereading this, right? Okay, heuristics for low jack raise first in versus big blind call. Monotone boards, a mix of checking and bet 33%. Don't use the larger sizing, so a lot of checking. And oh, do we have nothing about? I don't have anything about donking. Did I have some more notes for this? I might have some more notes, but whatever. We'll just go with this. Yeah. So basically, don't use the big size on monotone boards. I think that has shown to be pretty persistent throughout, right? Rainbow boards, we're defaulting to betting range for third pot. We are checking a third of the time, and sometimes we use the larger sizings. So on particular rainbow boards, if we have some reason to do something different, we can do different. Paired boards usually bet range. Only use the large sizings on deuce, deuce, X because just nobody has a deuce. So it's like 2 bricks on the board. Trips boards, bet range, small size on big trips, big size on small trips, medium on medium, okay? These all feel very familiar, right? As big blind facing the c-bet, we're gonna call almost half the time, fold 3/8 of the time, raise 15% of the time. I don't know, 3/20ths, what do you want? On boards with mostly high cards, we get to fold a lot, right? Half the time or so. Small to mid connected boards, we fold rarely. I think we do actually get to donk on those some, but just not that much. 25% or less. Small to mid connected boards and mid paired boards, we check raise more than 20% of range. Check raise a lot less on monotone boards, except ace high and king high boards. Fold a lot on trips boards. Yeah, so 50%, we get to fold like half the time on trips boards. Check raise a lot less on monotone boards, except ace high and king high boards. Paired boards have very little checking. Bet range for a third, except on ace high paired boards, which do a lot of checking. Okay, so sometimes like I start reading through these notes and I feel very focused and engaged with everything. And then at some point I start just reading it. I'm like, my brain's not really doing anything with that information. So I think it's important, like whenever studying anything really, to be like, am I engaging with this information, or am I kind of just repeating it? So right now I was just kind of repeating it. So let's fix that. Yeah, so high card boards, we fold a lot because we've got low cards and they've got high cards, right? So they have the high card advantage, the low jack does. Small to mid connected boards fold rarely because we're just going to interact with those so much, right? We're going to interact with them a ton. And small to mid connected boards and mid paired boards, we're going to check raise more than 20% of range. So we check raise a ton on those little boards, right? Because we hit them, right? Like either we've got overcards, or we've got a draw, or we've got a pair or something. There's just a lot of interaction there. And even the cards that don't interact, there's just like a few under pairs and stuff. Check raise a lot less on monotone boards, except ace high and king high boards. So monotone boards are generally played very passively, but ace high and king high boards, there's just a lot fewer flushes in either player's range, but especially in position's range, because they're raising all this ace x and king x suited, right? Fold a lot on trips boards, just because like in position has all these big pairs, and those are boats, and those are very nutty, right? Paired boards have very little checking. Bet range for third, so that's in position now, right? Paired boards, little checking. Bet range for third, except on ace high paired boards, which do a lot of checking. Mid paired boards maybe check some more. Right. Okay. Yeah, like ace 4-4 or something. There's a lot of checking there for in position. Deuce deuce x. We're gonna see the large sizing. And always bet if the board is trips. Same pattern as low jack. A bit big on. On small, small, and big. So these look like these are now like hijack heuristics. So I'm going to have to go and clean some of these things up. But like small blind versus any position, because small blind is usually underplayed. Yeah, I think the small blind is an area for a lot of, a good area for improvement, right? And I kind of wanted to, so today we would have been doing button raise first in versus small blind 3-bet, but partially because you said you weren't going to be here, I was like, oh, we'll save that for tomorrow. But also I just feel like it was good to kind of take a day off from learning new stuff, or from like kind of moving into new spots and doing more review. So did we do any small blind yet? Yeah, we did small blind versus big blind. So let's do this, and then we can move and do small blind versus big blind as like a review and a training session. And then this coming week, we could actually do small blind versus button. Then we could go back and do small blind versus cutoff, small blind versus hijack, small blind versus low jack, kind of like moonwalk it, but always have the 3-better be the small blind, and kind of check out how different small blind ranges are played differently. And then we can end the week on Friday with small blind getting 3-bet by the big blind, I guess. There's a ton of 3-bet spots, right? There's so many 3-bet spots, and I'm really curious to see how they play out differently from one another. All right, so we're going to do a session of this, and then we will do blind versus blind. Cool. So what I am going to do this time is I am going to hit record, but not yet. That sounds good. Excellent. Cool. It's a plan. It's a plan. First, I will navigate to the spot we want, which was low jack RFI versus big blind call. So we'll go to new session, and we will go select post flop. This is on single raise pot. The pre-flop raiser is the low jack, and the pre-flop caller is the big blind. And we will go all flops. Good. Okay. We'll hit start training, and I will switch scenes. I am going to disappear. Okay, and we are going to record this. And I'll record some intro afterwards that I'll stitch together with it. Okay, so we're just gonna talk about the hands. All right, I've hit record and let's go. Monotone board, very little donking. Pocket twos, certainly checking, probably checking range. In position should only be using third pot bets here. They do bet third pot. I think with a pair and a flush draw, we probably get to continue. I don't imagine we are doing any raising here, so we're going to call. That looks correct. In position bets their hand a lot. We're not going to be donking this card. It doesn't materially change the nuts or anything. We do pick up a straight draw, which makes me feel like maybe we can actually call this. If we had deuces without a heart, I think we would have to fold, but with the heart, I believe we can peel. Yeah, it's very close, almost EV neutral. Part of the reason we can peel here is that they can have hands like ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack with a heart that wants to barrel, and we can just basically say like, hey, if you check back the river, we're actually going to win with our ducks. So now that we've got all our ducks in a row or something, I don't know, that doesn't really go anywhere. We're going to lose to their flush draw, which was a bigger pair, but it looks like we played the hand correctly, and we'll move forward. King 7-6, we are the low jack in this scenario. I think we're going to bet this very frequently. I'm not really sure what sizings we're going to prefer. When in doubt, I just use third pot. The thing that makes me think larger sizings might be good here is the king high board, I think, is kind of nice in that regard, but also it's fairly connected and draw-ish. So if I'm checking anything, I don't think this is a hand I'm checking that often. So I'm certainly going to bet. I imagine we can default to third pot with range. You can see actually the solver also isn't sure what size bets it wants to use. It's mixing small, mid, and large. This hand, I guess, kind of prefers... Oh, we did get check raised. Wow, I didn't even notice that yet. That's hilarious. So we have backdoor nut flush draw. We have a backdoor Broadway draw, and we have the nut no pair. I am blocking a good number of... I am blocking a good number of draws that we are ahead of, so I don't love that, but I do think the equity from having the ace is very nice. I think this is fairly close between call and fold. I'm going to call, and we're going to see if it... maybe I need backdoor clubs to call. Well, let's call. Okay, it doesn't mind, but it really wants to fold most of the time. Calling is plus 0 cents, and folding is flat 0 cents. So they check, and I don't think I'm going to be doing a ton of betting here. I mean, can I? Can I bet to try and get, like, what am I trying to get to fold? Kind of rough. I am blocking their continue range pretty hard, so that's nice, but I'm going to go ahead and check it back. The solver hates that. It's like, why did you float this hand unless your plan was to put in action? Oh, and you can't see. So this is my new layout. So let me know, give me some feedback on the layout, but at the bottom, I'll switch this for a moment so you can see at the bottom, this shows that they want to bet this all the time, and that with the range, we're actually betting very often. Apparently this card is pretty decent for our range, once they check anyway, right? And they're mostly supposed to bet. So we'll go back to this layout, and we'll go to the next hand. So two hands, one... a significant error, and the flop peel was sort of what started to get us in trouble, although that was fine, but the turn we definitely need to throw a bet out there. Okay, this board feels like we're basically just going to be betting range for third pot, or that at least must be fine. This hand apparently is one of the hands that wants to check the most, but the thing is when you're betting most of your range, it actually wants... when you're betting most of your range... I don't know what I was going to go with that. Yeah, there's going to be hands that... All right. When you're betting most of your range, there are going to be hands that mostly want to check. But even then, if you're mostly betting your range, you're still going to bet some with those. So you're going to kind of avoid mistakes. Here I only have... I guess I have a backdoor wheel draw to go with my backdoor flush draw. I think this is probably very close. If I had like ace jack of clubs, I would call this with the backdoor Broadway draw. I think there's going to be more value in hitting a Broadway. Also, that overcard should help. I think this is a fold, but probably not a large minus EV call. Yeah, 12 cents would be the EV loss if I decided to call. And, you know, we could have just checked it back. We're kind of getting check raised mercilessly here so far. King 8 on King 10-5. So let's start with the King 10-5. This board is going to be bet pretty frequently. I think we can use some of the larger sizings. This is a hand that if we are using some large, some middle, some small, or whatever, I think the small sizing is going to be good for this hand. So I'm going to throw that out there. It likes small or medium, right? Third or half pot with this. And we get check raise to get, it's like it's just on auto check raise. I think we've seen that we can actually fold some hands like this, which I found very surprising. I'm going to go ahead and make the fold that feels like, wait, you can't do that. And the solver's like, yeah, you can't do that. But the EV loss is like 0.06, so 6 cents. So yes, we are supposed to call this. You know, I wonder if King 9 would be less of a call because we are blocking more of their, you know, here we're not blocking any of their bluffs. And we don't really share outs with them. Like if they have Queen Jack and we have King 9, then we've got a very bad card that's possible. Let's proceed. Queen Deuce Deuce, I'm going to check here. I believe checking pure, and I think they're going to bet close to range. And I think I want some check raises. You know, I would rather have a double backdoor. This feels like maybe a little too ambitious of a check raise. I do like having the backdoor flush draw, but if you threw in a backdoor straight draw, I think check raise or check call would be pretty clear here. So I'm gonna fold, but I feel like we can check raise or call some. It might be a full Neapolitan. No, this is just a pure continue. So this is just too tight. Just too tight. You know, they are betting range here, right? So against a range bet, I guess we have to continue. All right, so this session's going fairly rough, right? That's okay. Sometimes that happens. We just did a warm-up session of like 51 hands, and I made one error for 0.02 EV, and then now I've made 3 errors in 5 hands. So sometimes that's just how it goes. King 3 deuce, I imagine we are betting this very often. Third pair feels like, I mean, third pair, what am I talking about? Third pot feels like it should suffice. We do the third pot, and there's actually a little bit more checking than I had expected. Now we get check raised again. We should pretty much just assume that the solver's going to check raise us every time now. But I'm going to fold this one as I don't have any backdoors aside from the Broadway. Well, I've got 2 backdoor straight draws technically, but I don't have any backdoor flushes. And they actually flopped a set on us. Good for them. Oh, nice to see the computer running hot. One of the things I really enjoy about this method is like, you know, you can run bad, you can run into all the terrible hands you want. It doesn't cost you any money. It's just practice. And here, you know, ace 10, I think is actually a pretty good bet in general, as often we're going to want to bet most of our top pair, our best middle pair, and maybe our worst bottom pair. Here, I think we're probably just betting range or close to range. I think third pot's probably fine without the flush draw on board, you know, on the rainbow board, and it likes it. And they decided not to check raise bluff us with their King 7 of hearts. Very magnanimous of them. All right, paired board. Clearly, they are going to bet. They're going to use some larger sizings, I think, on the deuce-deuce board because, yeah, there it is. The reason they want to use larger sizings is just nobody has a deuce like ever here. I have ace high. I do think that this is like, oh, if I had ace 5 of spades or ace 3 of spades, I think this would be such an easy continue. Against this sizing, maybe I can find a fold and then continue like ace 9 suited plus. But after that king 8 hand, this might be an overcorrection, but I'm going to call. Yeah, and it is an overcorrection, right? And this is something to be aware of. And like I was aware of it in the moment as a possibility, but I didn't know whether that's what I was doing or not. And what can often happen is when we make a mistake, well, I'll say this as what I've found happens sometimes is I make a mistake in one direction, and then I make a similar mistake 3 doors down. Wait, no, we're not talking about band names. I make a similar mistake that's not a like the opposite mistake, right? Where in fact the king 8 we were supposed to call, or king 7, whatever it was, we were supposed to call that one, and then this one we're supposed to fold, right? And there was, I'm not talking about the one where we had. I can scroll down and kind of take a look. Yeah, there were back-to-back king 8 hands. There was one where we flopped top pair, but then there was a queen deuce deuce board where we had backdoor flush draw, and we were actually supposed to call that, but then here we were supposed to fold. And I think they had a smaller bet sizing on the other one. So that's the key, right? With this larger bet sizing, we just don't need to peel as much. And I think I overcorrected. And looking at the EV loss, it's like 24 cents. I think ace 5 suited, ace 9 suited, I think it's quite likely that those hands would actually want to peel in this spot. In fact, we're going to check it out and click on down here. There is the call, and I just want to quickly see. Was I correct that like ace 5? No. So ace 5, ace 4, ace 3, these are still not peels in this spot, right? We need, but what about ace 8? Yeah, so now, oh no, that's a pair. Of course we're peeling that. Yeah, so ace 9 of spades, now we start to peel. Ace 10 of spades, clear call, right? So that's just kind of how it is, right? And we kind of had an idea of it, but it was a little bit off. And go back. There we go. Okay, next hand. Next hand, 10-6-3 rainbow board. This looks like it's going to be bet very often. I think we can do something like range for third pots. The 6 and the 3 do interact a little bit with their range, but ace 10 is clearly a hand we're going to bet. I'm going to throw a bet out there. It actually looks like the solver prefers half pots and 3/4 with a decent amount of checking. And, you know, third pot is probably going to be fine, but going a little bigger is probably better there. I think we can bet again for value because we have top pair, top kicker. With a weaker top pair hand like Jack 10, maybe we're going to do some checking. I'm going to throw the bet out there. The 10 of hearts means, you know, they're not going to have top pair with a flush draw. But there's still plenty of flush draws they can have that were like a 6x or some overcards that they peeled with. All right, we're still getting value. Now, the River Queen, I feel like it's going to be very hard for us to get value at this point. I think we just check it back, take our showdown. There are, you know, hands like Queen 10, obviously, are there to be concerned about. Queen Jack that maybe peeled flop, like Queen Jack of diamonds or something, and then they hit a pair. But at this, you know, on top of that, it's not just about being beaten, it's about actually getting called. And so hands like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 4s, like a 6, ace 3, I think those aren't going to call us that much. So I think we're going to want to check this back. If we do bet it, I don't think we can go that big. So yeah, it agrees. The smaller bet sizes are like kind of the mid-size. I don't know. It doesn't really care, actually. I imagine the king 6 is probably folding here. Yes, it has a blocker to king jack, but is king jack really a hand they're super worried about? I don't think so. Let's do one more here. Ace 8-3. This is a board that I think we're going to have a fair amount of checking. Pocket jacks seem like a reasonable check. I imagine jacks are going to bet more than kings, but less than 9s. Maybe they bet more than 9s because they actually are stronger, because the big blinds can have like 10s and stuff. But I do think a check here is fine, but a bet's probably also okay. So I imagine this hand's mixing between checking and probably third potting. I imagine we're checking close to 50% of our range. And I can see that is roughly correct. Solver's like, yeah, you can bet like 15% of the time, but don't overdo it. Now when they check on the turn, I think a bet has a little bit more value. We're a little less likely to get check raised. and we can put the bet in now and then check back river, or maybe even go thin on river. I think if we are betting, we want to be using this third pot. Certainly be careful about this against tough opponents, unless you also have a good amount of hands that you're checking back to protect your range. The solver's like, yeah, you can bet this one about 35% of the time. So it's fine with this, but checking one more time and trying to get value on the river was also good. I don't see any more value to be gotten. Yes, a hand like 10-9, I guess we can target specifically, but mostly on the turn, we were thinking we were getting called by like an 8, by a 7, by diamonds, and by, maybe even like 4s, 5s, 6s, pocket 9s. It's going to be a little harder to get another bet from those on the river, so I'm just going to check it back. Solver likes it. They had ace queen. I feel like we kind of lost the minimum. If we didn't bet turn, I think they're betting river probably for a larger sizing than we bet on turn, and it's going to be a little bit of an annoying spot where I think we mostly just have to call and lose. And yeah, so overall, let's take a look at this. 10 hands played, 21 correct actions. EV loss was actually, why don't I go back to the other thing? Switch scenes. This. So let's take a look at the results there in the lower left hand. 10 hands played, 21 correct actions, 4 errors. It's not a very good ratio. Total EV lost was 83 cents on the dollar, or 0.83 blinds, for an average EV loss of about 8 cents a hand, which I'm not thrilled with, but it's not the worst. Yeah. Oh, should I do an outro here? Maybe I'll do an outro here. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe, super helpful for the channel, and I'll have more hands like this, more sessions like this coming like probably tomorrow. Cheers. All right, so we'll stop recording. That was like 16 and a half minutes, but I'll probably edit that down to like 10 minutes. I'm gonna do an experiment of kind of like trying to edit them a little bit more. And then at some point I'll do something that's like that, but maybe with a little PowerPoint up front that kind of reviews some of the important notes. I don't know, but for now, I'm mostly trying to kind of like just build habits of getting a video out there every day and not not missing days, right? And kind of not overthinking it. Although I do want to do more like tutorial type things. All right, so we'll take the break for the eyes and the posture. And then next we are going to do small blind versus big blinds, right? Some blind versus blind action, which is fun. Okay. You know what? Maybe instead of that, maybe let's just play with blind. We'll play the scenario we're going to study tomorrow. And yeah, and then we'll call it a day. So let's go to new session. 6 max cash. We'll go here, select post flop. We're going to go to 3 bet. And what is it? Small blind versus Oh, what were we doing? We're going to do the razor was the button, the 3 better was the small blind, right? So let's just check this out. Let's play like 10, 20 hands or something. And then we will dig into this spot, looking at all the flops and everything tomorrow. So let's hit start training, and I will go to this. All right, and in fact, why not record? Small blind versus button. I think I'm just going to be betting range on this board probably. Half pot or third pot both seem fine. I'm going to go half pot. I don't know. So the idea here is to kind of learn by doing, and it looks like yes, bet range, but mostly third pot with this hand and with range. I think I want to keep betting, whether I go half pot or 3/4. I really don't know. Or that's 2/3, right? That's not 3/4. 2/3 sounds kind of good, but it sets up a really weird SPR beyond that. So I feel like the human thing is this half pot. Oh, hey, with this hand, it likes half pot, but it actually likes going bigger in general with range. This does feel like a hand that benefits from that slightly smaller bet size because It's not like a strong top pair. It's not like we're trying to get called down by top pair, because a lot of their top pair, most of their top pair at least, beats us. All right, pocket sevens, we're the button who raised and called. I imagine on a board like this, we're just going to be pure continuing for a third pot bet. We've got the backdoor clubs, we've got position, and we've got 4-to-1 odds. All right, the 4 on the turn doesn't seem like it would help their, ace, queen, ace, 10 kind of part of their range that we're still ahead of, or like not flush draws. But for this sizing, I don't know. I always fold spots like this, so I'm gonna hit fold and I'm gonna let the solver tell us what it thinks. It says, yeah, fold. Your hand's terrible. So they have queens. Interesting to see them using this, 2/3 sizing. So let's proceed. Pocket nines, and we were the 3-better. I think we're just gonna have to use like third pot out of position here. Just stick some chips in, let them fold some hands, and take it from there. We do have, a double or triple backdoor, depending on how you want to see it. You can look at this and be like, well, you had nines covering all the flush draws, and they had sevens without any matching anything on board. So you could just check it, and that's fine, right? But what happens, I think, is when we check in spots like this, we kind of just get abused by the button, where they can just kind of play perfectly against us, and they can put a lot of pressure in. Maybe we end up folding hands like this. Overall, it looks like with our range, we can mostly just bet either third pot or pot, it looks like, which is an interesting option of, basically like go big or go small. All right. This board, I think, are they going to be betting very often? I think yes. Maybe not full range on ace high boards. Of course, I wouldn't say smashed it, but we have a very solid hand for this board, right? We have the backdoor nut flush draw as well as top pair. Good kicker, although not great kicker, because they're going to have ace king and ace queen. Quite a lot of their range is going to be those hands. And, just one card down, ace 10 also makes 2 pair. But I don't see any reason to do anything but call here. Maybe occasionally you can mix in a raise, but that doesn't, solver doesn't want to do that. We're calling probably a whole lot of our range there for that bet size. When they check it to us, I think we can bet here pretty often. Maybe with position, with all these flushy things covered, we don't need to go big. I'm going to go with half pot. The machine likes it, and they just fold queen jack. Half pot's enough to put the king queen jack region in a blender a little bit, where not even a blender, like they're just gonna have to fold, right? And I don't know, we'll see. We're kind of trying to spot patterns, right? See whether anything pops out at us. Queen 3, I imagine we're just gonna be betting range here, either third pot or half pot. Kind of feels like it doesn't matter that much. I think we can go small because they're just going to have a ton of hands that basically are like super behind any queen, and are just kind of like air balls. Now on this card, I feel like we definitely should get to bet. I think out of position, we're going to use these larger bet sizes a little bit more, like the 2/3, I guess is the sizing it goes with. Yep, the machine loves that. And when we brick the river, what are we going to do? What do we want to do when we brick the river? We didn't brick the river, so I think we probably just put all the chips in, is my guess. Pretty much just jam. I also imagine occasionally we're going to trap with a check, but mostly my instinct is like, let's just put the chips in. If we had bricked, however, this seems like not the best hand to be barreling off with, as it's blocking so many of the draws, but I don't know that there's going to be a lot of better candidates. Maybe the better candidates, wow, and oh no, oops. They flopped a boat and we went runner, not good enough. We needed the 10 of clubs. But that would be a lot more painful if it was for real money. So hey, yeah, but I do wonder, like, is this something where we actually want to be betting the river there with that hand? I don't know. We can check it out later. 9-8-4, pretty dynamic board. I imagine we can mix some calling and folding with our ace high hands. I would like to have a diamond. I don't know if we absolutely need a diamond. They did bet half pot, not third pot. So maybe we can get away from our ace queen because we don't have a diamond and it is two-tone. And apparently it is pretty neutral EV here. So, you know, against a human, if you think they if you think they barrel too much, you might actually want to make some more folds on the flop. But if you think that they c-bet flop too much and then don't barrel effectively, then you can probably call with this pure, right? You want to think about how future streets are going to play out. So, yeah. Which one was the woe in regards to? Duck, duck, tray. They check it to us. Like, what the heck? They're checking. I feel like they would be betting this board like a lot. And I almost feel like betting here with the, you know, like I'm covering so much of the continue range. Let's stick a bet out there. In game, I feel like I'm always checking this back. But like, let's try it. Yeah, solver likes it. It's like, yeah, you can bet, you can check. You know, betting there kind of sets up future bets, right? I think that's the idea. The idea is like, we can put pressure later on in the hand because we started putting pressure now. And at this point, I'm trying to figure out what would be the merit of betting here. I mean, I feel like pairs are always calling. Ace king, maybe we get to fold some. I think ace queen is a little too strong. If we had picked up a flush draw, an actual flush draw, or if we had like ace four, ace five, I think I would bet this again. But I think ace queen, I'm going to check it back. Solver likes it. Oh yeah, the threes full versus the rivered flush. That was that was a little bit like, whoa, oh, okay. That was my reaction as well. All right, so now, like, do we want to bluff this? Are we getting just heroed here all the time? I feel like you could just like jam bluff this. Get a ton of hands to fold, but it's also like super sus looking. And, you know, I have ace high, I have the second nut, no pair, so I think we check it back and try and win a showdown and successfully win a showdown against ace jack. Like, that would have just folded turn, but they had 3 outs. So I think just taking a showdown worked out pretty well. So far, no real, like, mistakes. Some mistakes in understanding. All right, ace 5-3. I have a backdoor Broadway and a backdoor club draw. So this feels like a pretty good hand to throw a bet out there. We're going with third pot. This is kind of one of those way ahead, way behind type boards where I don't think we necessarily need to go too big on the flop. Now here, I think we want to represent an ace. So something like half pot or probably like 2/3 feels correct to me. Let's go with that. And yes, solver approved. They call. Is this a hand we want to barrel off with? Well, we're blocking ace queen offsuit, ace 10 offsuit. Now we hit a queen, so I don't think there's any reason to bet here. I don't think we're getting an ace to fold or like king queen to fold. I don't think they have any other. I don't think they have a lot of queen X in their range actually at this point. If we were to bet, like we could maybe do like a block bet here, but like that seems totally nuts, right? That seems absurd with 56 in stacks and 89 left. Like, can we just like put the chips in and be like, yeah, hero off with your nines? I feel like the much more human thing to do is check. Of course, human is probably used by solvers as an insult, or should be. I feel like this might be a bet, because if we check and then they bet, what are we doing? Are we just folding? Or are we making a hero call? I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and check, though. No, oh, it does like this small bet size. Wow. I don't know. I was feeling that, but like it just seems so weird. What a weird way to play the hand. Okay. But, you know, I mean, it's like if they have an ace, they have an ace, and there's only so much money back. But if they have a 5 or they have like 6s through jacks or something, they shouldn't have jacks that much, but I think they have some in range. Like, you know, we jam here and they're thinking like, oh, although it doesn't want to jam, it wants a small bet. Like, do we bet small and then fold? I don't know. That is a weird hand. Computers play weird. All right, 8-7-3 with 2 hearts, very dynamic board. Perhaps they do a lot of checking on these small boards because we're going to have a bunch of sets and stuff. I think we can start betting here if we want. We have the backdoor nut flush draw, which means A, we've got more equity when called. B, we're going to get check raised less because I think something like a nut flush draw might check raise some. So I'm going to go ahead and toss a third pot bet out there, kind of like we played the ace queen. Solver agrees that this is fine, but we can check it some as well. Now, if I had ace 10 or ace 9, I think I would keep betting here. There might be some merit here now to trying to get ace queen, ace king to fold. I don't think like overpairs and stuff are going to be folding in spots like these. I'm going to check it back though. If this one I had the jack of diamonds, maybe then I would. But again, with the 10, with like a gut shot, I think I'd be more likely to go ahead and barrel off. Solver's fine with a check, but half pot is kind of preferred. Or not preferred, but also appreciated, I guess. And then here, ace high, we got to the river. We can get to the showdown. I think we just take a showdown. If we wanted to keep bluffing, the turn was the time to do it. Kind of hard to say like, yeah, I bet the flop with a backdoor diamond draw and then I checked it back when I picked up a diamond. Like, no, that's not credible. Oh, and they turned a set. Oh, that was a very, very sneaky, slick check that we got lucky, really. But whatever, we could have gone for a bluff. That would have been fine against their range, apparently. And they would have check raised us probably, and we just fold. Not like we had any equity there, right? They had the lockout on the turn. Let's play one more. Queen 8-7. I don't think we're going to be folding the nut no pair here. I don't see a lot of merit to raising either. Our only backdoor is Broadway with a jack and a 10 for the straight. So I'm going to treat this as a pure call. And Solver agrees. Turn as a deuce of diamonds. Like now I feel like maybe we could start using this as a bluff, but probably not. I think it's probably too strong. Like having the backdoor diamond blocker. Maybe this is a really good hand to call with and then bluff with on diamond rivers. I'm feeling that. We're still ahead of like 9-10, 9-jack, 10-jack, and you know, some other like something that picked up diamonds like king-jack, king-10 of diamonds, stuff like that. So yeah, pure call here with the ace-king. You know, still the nut no pair. And if the river bricks off, I think we're going to have some interesting decisions, right? There's about a pot-sized bet left. I mean, they're giving us a showdown. I think we take the showdown with the nut no pair. And they had a set. All right, but the solver likes our line. So I think this hand was fine. So does the solver. Let's take a look at results. So here in the lower left-hand corner, you can see 10 hands played, 22 correct actions, 1 error. Not too bad. Total EV loss, 43 cents. And the average loss per hand is 4 cents per hand, basically. Which is like 4 big blinds per 100, which is substantial. But I'm not that unhappy with that here in a spot that we have not studied yet. I will be running this spot tomorrow, which by the time this video comes out will probably have been yesterday. So that's the time frame that we work with. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe, super helpful. And let me know in the comments how you like this format, the layout, stuff like that. And I'll catch you later. Peace. Okay, stop recording. And yeah. All right, so we recorded a couple videos. We did a bunch of playing against the solver. Mostly it went well. I guess, what was it? Low jack first button? That was kind of sketchy. Funny how this one actually went better than that one. Sometimes that's how it is, right? The things that you don't know are tougher, are easier sometimes than the things that you know because you think you know something. Like, it's not the things that you don't know that hurt you. It's the things you're absolutely sure about but are wrong about. That gets you. So yeah, so maybe that was one of those, or maybe it was just, you know, there's just a couple that were a little off. Thanks, Paul. Another great study. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for being here. It certainly brightens up the day. Please don't feel
like responsible to show up every day, right? In terms of like on my account. However, if that like inspires you or encourages you to study as much as you really want to, then do, you know, whatever you do, you feel how you want to feel. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I do feel like doing every single day was a little bit of a miscalculation. I mean, I've done this before, and every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I need to take days off, right? But I think it's really good in terms of building habits. And then hopefully, what I can do is say, okay, I'm going to take this day and maybe this day off, and as a result, like just have this like, oh, I wake up and I want to study poker, right? Like just because I'm used to it, because it's what I'm because it's like what I do in the morning. And yeah, I like to study too. It's fun. I mean, that's why I'm kind of trying to build a platform where I can just like, I'd like to be a professional student ultimately. Like not like in an academic sense, but just in a like, yeah, just like I want to study this. Let's study this, and and let's do it with people and make it fun. So I'm doing that with poker now. At some point, I'll probably do it more with like languages and stuff, and maybe some chess. I don't know. Does anyone in the chat play chess? I enjoy chess a lot. Yeah, preferably with other. Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm broadly like I can be a very solitary person a lot of the time, but it's not because I don't enjoy the company of others. Like doing activities with other people, I enjoy a lot when they're like specifically something I want to do anyway. And sometimes getting sometimes having just like another mind there that's like, oh, did you think about this? It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Let's look into that. That's a great idea. I love chess. Awesome. Yeah. I'm ZenMadman on Lee Chess and on chess.com. I used to be Lazy Assassin, but yeah. But yeah, I actually technically have a chess channel that I made like 5 videos for, ZenMadman Chess on YouTube. So the first one I made like over a year ago, I think, and then I just never kind of kept going with it because I was like, well, I make money playing poker, so it's a little harder to put the effort into chess, right? But I'll probably do some chess streams, and maybe sometimes as breaks between things, we'll just chill and like play a few games or something. So yeah, anyway, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Robin Hooded. Thank you, Buffy Bot, for hanging out and joining me on this session today. And I'll see you all tomorrow, or whoever shows up tomorrow. And tomorrow we will do this spot that we just practiced, but we'll study it. We'll get into it. Small blind, no, button raise first in versus small blind 3-bet. I think it's a really interesting spot. I think it's a super important spot that like it's just it's really important, right? I mean, these are big pots with kind of medium-sized ranges, and I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. And I mean, we saw that in these hands that there were some interesting things that came up. Great dynamics. So we'll play with that tomorrow. And yeah, thanks again for hanging out with me. And I'll catch you later. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers.